Welcome to the Enterprise Thought Leadership Podcast, where we explore the latest in enterprise trends, tech, and strategy with the top leaders shaping the future.
Hi, we welcome you to our podcast On Stage with Enterprise Thought Leaders. My name is Kanika, and I'm the managing editor of EnterpriseTalk, our enterprise technology flagship publication. We're engaging conversations with global thought leaders and industry experts, reaching over 1.3 million business leaders worldwide. Digital employee experience, which is DEX platforms, have traditionally been tailored to meet the scale and demands of large enterprises, managing thousands of employees and devices. We speak about the possibilities of what they can do more and what they can do better with Mark Banfield. He's a Chief Commercial Officer of TeamViewer. Welcome to the show, Mark. It's great to have you here today.
It's an absolute pleasure to be here, and thank you for having me on.
So a little bit about Mark before we start. He's a CCO and the member of the executive board at TeamViewer since February 2025. And in his position, he's responsible for the global go-to-market strategy and customer success. Mark joined TeamViewer following his acquisition of 1E, where he served as CEO and led the company to growth and operational excellence. He's a seasoned executive with more than 20 years of experience in the software industry and a strong background in building high-performance global teams. Prior to 1E, Mark served as Chief Revenue Officer at LogicMonitor, where he was responsible for the global go-to-market strategy and operations. Before that, he was Senior Vice President and General Manager for International at Autotask, which was acquired by Datto, overseeing all aspects of the business. He's a graduate of Kingston University with a master's degree from the University College of London and further education at London Business School. So that is good degree with good job experience.
Oh, thank you very much. Yeah, no, enjoyed.
Is there something you'd like to tell us about TeamViewer, Mark, and maybe specifically DEX platforms?
Sure. So TeamViewer is a German-based company, but we're a very global company. We have offices all over the world. We have more than 600,000 customers spanning small businesses, medium businesses, large businesses in practically every country you can think of. TeamViewer comes from the history of providing remote connectivity capabilities to IT teams. And over time, we then started to increase into new areas such as operational technology and frontline technology and things like that. How I became part of TeamViewer was at the end of last year, where TeamViewer acquired 1E. 1E, as you quite rightly said, is a digital employee experience platform, DEX. So the way to think about this is most of the traditional users of TeamViewer and the many hundreds of thousands of users we have got use TeamViewer to remotely access computers and other forms of devices, other types of devices, in order to support those users, to provide them fixes to whatever's going on, to enhance their usage, to improve their overall use of that device, and to ensure that things are running and operational at all times. What 1E was doing that autonomously. So we have a autonomous approach to being able to identify friction at the endpoint using this very sophisticated agent technology, and then remediate and then create automation that stops those issues from ever happening again. So if you really think about it, the two technologies absolutely fit like a glove and go hand in hand. And that's why TeamViewer took the decision to acquire 1E. And I'll talk to you about it today. That's why we're now taking this technology and broadening the offering to all TeamViewer customers.
That's quite interesting. And I think it rounds up with the first question I have with you for you as well. The dynamic nature of enterprises pressures leaders to consolidate fragmented tech stacks, strengthen security, and meet evolving compliance standards. Do you see a solution, and how do you see this panning out?
Sure. I mean, look, the area of digital workplace. I mean, first off, let's just take a step back and say every workplace these days is a digital workplace. Every employee is a digital employee. And one of the challenges that IT teams are having is that we are more dependent as employees now on technology than we ever have been before. We are completely dependent on the use of these devices. We wouldn't be having this conversation now if it wasn't for the dependence that we have on the technology that's running what we're doing. So IT teams have been struggling for the last 10, 15 years of this evolving wave of digitization. And how do they deal with the fact that there is an increasing demand from end users? There's more complexity at the endpoint. There's different ways of working. People aren't just sat in an office anymore. They work remote. They work in a hybrid fashion. And therefore, the role of IT has become increasingly more difficult. Over the last number of years, what's happened is there's different types of technologies that an IT team can use to make their life easier. They can use a service desk. They can use remote control technology. They can use unified endpoint management. Smaller businesses use remote monitoring and management, RMM as it's referred to. There's things like experience monitoring, application monitoring. There's a variety of different solutions. What we see at 1E is that that's a complex world for IT teams. There's too many tools, too much jargon, too many things to think about. And what we passionately believe is that IT leaders really need a single platform and a single partner to help them manage their increasing demands of the digital workplace. That's where we come in with the product called TeamViewer One. We've taken all of the different capabilities that TeamViewer and 1E had, and we put it into one package, one platform, one endpoint, one agent to manage everything, and one single price point to manage everything on those devices. And what really, it's helping IT teams drive better compliance, better security, and importantly, reduce costs, because there's tool consolidation here. They don't need multiple different products. They can use one. And that's really what we're trying to achieve here. And we're seeing fantastic early success with launching this platform. We're seeing tremendous demand in our customer base of people that really see the nature of needing to have a single platform approach.
And I think the second question just follows from what you've just told us. The daily enterprise operations drive newer types of complexities, and they are becoming even more complex as days go by. So how do enterprises use AI tools to fight this complexity in daily operations? So the platform which you referred to, I'm sure you're leveraging AI tools.
Yeah, I could talk about that. So we see tremendous opportunity with AI. I mean, the way I would explain what we're doing here at TeamViewer, we are effectively an AI agent for IT. So historically, you hire a lot of people in IT to do a lot of the work to manage the different requirements of the digital workplace. We now have an AI agentic agent that allows IT to rely upon that agent to do various things. For example, identify issues, identify frictions, slow applications, network configuration issues, disk space issues. There could be many, many, many thousands of things that could be wrong for a user. And we're using AI to identify that friction. We're predicting the friction. We're predicting if we don't fix the friction, it leads to frustration and a lack of productivity. So what we're doing is we're fixing things in real time using AI at the edge, at the moment when a user really has to rely upon something to be solved. So that's what we're doing. And by doing that, we're first of all driving way more productivity for the actual knowledge workers, for the people that are working in a business that rely upon technology. We're driving better productivity. We're unlocking billions of hours of productivity for end users. But we're also making IT way more efficient. We're driving more efficiency for IT. We're enabling IT teams to do more with less people and freeing up the IT teams to be more strategic as to how they think about the future of business and the future of how technology is used within business, because they're not having to deal with the rudimentary kind of day-to-day operations roles of just fixing things on people's devices. They're relying upon AI to fix those things autonomously.
Yeah, the third question I had for you was about what we just spoke about. How does TeamViewer help? So then my next question too is, with remote teams and newer security risks that are surfacing, how do enterprises ensure stable device management for disparate and distributed teams? And this especially for globally distributed teams. And if you would like to touch upon it, I'd also want to know a little bit about highly dynamic and sometimes risky.
Sure. I think I understood the question is talking about distributed teams and how does TeamViewer help in that sort of environment where you have very distributed workforces, which are inherently very difficult to manage. So the answer is that at TeamViewer, we provide this single platform that enables IT teams to manage all devices, any device, anywhere in the world in real time. A great example, actually, that I love to talk about is TeamViewer is a partner of the Mercedes Formula One team, strong partner, and we do a lot of work with them. They use TeamViewer's technology in their operations day to day. So a great example is when the trackside team for the Formula One Mercedes team is on site at the track on race day. They have a live connectivity back to the team in the UK that's sitting in the headquarters, and they're streaming data in real time, and they're able to see exactly what's happening on the trackside. So this is an example of being able to manage teams that are very distributed and give them access to real-time data so that everyone is operating from the same system of record. And this is like a great example of how TeamViewer is enabling teams to work disparately around the world.
So the next question is that with remote teams and newer security risks surfacing, how do enterprises ensure stable device management for disparate and perhaps even geographically distributed teams?
Sure, absolutely. I mean, a number of different ways we help enterprises achieve this. One of the great aspects of DEX technology is obviously that, as the name suggests, it's very focused on improving experience. But one of the really major benefits is driving better security and compliance at the endpoint. This is a particularly very unique aspect of TeamViewer's technology. We enable IT teams to have real-time compliance at the endpoint. So, for example, most organizations use things like Intune or something like that, and we partner very well with Intune, and we augment Intune. We actually help create even more stickiness for Intune. The way that we do that is that we have a real-time edge capability. So if we identify something that's out of compliance, a certificate, an agent, or something like that, a configuration, we're able to remediate immediately and get it back into compliance. So that's particularly important when it's things related to security and possible vulnerabilities, where you cannot really have any amount of time where the device is out of compliance. So we particularly have great success with this in financial services, healthcare, defense, government, places where there's really high security requirements, and where having devices out of compliance in any shape or form just isn't acceptable. And we do a great job for those organizations. So that's one example of how we help organizations drive a better security and compliance on the endpoint.
So there's an ancillary question to that, if you'd like to answer. In an extremely dynamic global scenario like the one we have right now, do you ever face any kind of risks for seamless connectivity, if I can just use that term?
I mean, we have a extremely high operational and technology foundation that allows us to ensure that there's very, very low, almost no risk at all with respect to that. I mean, we have all of the necessary standards in place, all of the necessary accreditations in place, and we obviously run a very, very tight ship here as to how we run the business to ensure we have the highest level of security. So I mean, we're pretty confident on that, on those side of things.
Right. So as newer applications and newer tools come into the picture, there is expected to be a tool sprawl. So how do enterprises streamline operations and deliver exceptional digital experiences which span legacy software, legacy platforms, traditional IT endpoints, and also a wide range of connected and operational technology devices? Does this complexity ever throw you off? How do you handle that?
It's interesting. I mean, we tend to thrive when there's complexity. This is one of the reasons that you would want to bring in a TeamViewer DEX platform, is that when there's a highly complex and distributed environment, that's when you need real-time visibility, real-time control, and real-time automation. Because because otherwise you really have no idea what's going on. And we're very interested when we meet with IT teams and you ask the customers we have about their use of the DEX technology or the TeamViewer One platform. One of the things they'll say is that we felt like we were blind and now we could see. We were almost invisible to really knowing what's going on. One of the reasons for that is that most IT issues are solved today based upon a reactive approach. So if someone has an issue, they raise a ticket into the service desk, and someone from IT will, very often remote control into the device or send a knowledge base article or do something to help the user. But the challenge is most people don't raise tickets. Most people don't go to the service desk. Most people suffer in silence and they don't actually notify or report the issue. So therefore, the knock-on effect for a business is that you potentially have an iceberg effect where you're really only seeing the above the surface, the 10% of people that report issues that report back. But actually, many, many more people are dealing with these issues and not reporting it. So the benefit of DEX technology from TeamViewer is that it's really about find the issue. So you deploy the agent, the same agent goes onto every device, and we can immediately identify exactly where the friction is that's impacting a user. Ongoing as well. That's not just one time. That's continually polling and understanding and looking at what's happening to the end user experience. Once we do that, we can then, of course, remediate and then automate. And we often talk about find it, fix once, fix forever. But the first part of it is to get the agent there and start to get the visibility. As one thing I've sort of mentioned a few times is many of the sort of platforms in this space, many of the technologies rely upon a certain approach to doing device management. It's based on polling the agent and getting information back. The TeamViewer DEX technology is incredibly unique. It's a autonomous agent that is true edge computing. The intelligence of what we're doing lives at the edge. So we're able to remediate in real time because the actual intelligence is living on the device and it's able to identify friction on a device and fix things in real time. Very unique capability, the only real platform that there is in the market that's like this. It means that IT teams can become very, very fast as to how they deal with issues. A great example, maybe of a security example, very large, during the famous, one of the famous kind of vulnerability attacks, there's been a few over the years, but there was one that was extremely well known back in 2020. And this organization typically would have taken many, many weeks to be able to identify which devices were compromised and be able to kill the file extension, etc. Using DEX technology, they were able to survey 180,000 devices in literally seconds. They were able to identify 198 that were potentially compromised. They quarantined the devices, they killed the file extension, they patched the device. And it meant that within a matter of an hour, every device in their environment was fully clean and operational, and there was no risk. Now, the impact for an organization like that, which without this technology, they would have taken weeks and weeks to be able to go through devices and understand who had been impacted, what the threat was, is tremendous. So this is an example of the operational agility that a platform like this gives you.
Right. So those are the questions I had for you. And thank you so much for making time for us. So grateful.
Thank you for joining us for the Enterprise Thought Leadership Podcast. Please do follow us on social media and subscribe for more ideas and insights. Until next time.